Welcome to Half-Life 2, a feature in this episode. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your use key. Nodes may take control of the game in order to show something to you. In these cases, simply press your use key again to stop the commentary. With episodic content, we're hoping to release games much more frequently than has been possible with a Please let me know what you think after you've had a chance to play this, our latest installment in the ongoing adventures of Gordon Freeman. I can be reached at gayben@valvesoftware.com. Thanks, and have fun.
Tell me, Dr. Freeman, if you can. You have destroyed so much. What is it exactly that you have created? Can you name even one thing? I thought not.
We used an upgrade of the time we were only refracting pixels that come from the Vortigaunts themselves. We placed a large sheet of refractive geometry in front of each Vortigaunt to achieve this.
Our earlier versions of the intro sequence were heavy on graphic effects and relatively light on storytelling. When we showed those early versions to playtesters, they thought it was cool, but rarely had any idea what was supposed to be happening. We went through several iterations, each time simplifying the editing and tightening up the effects. We eventually arrived at a good middle ground between the sort of psychedelic look.
We'll see about that.
He has to be somewhere around here. He's gotta be close to any... Dog, I think I found something. Drop what you're doing and help me over here. Oh my god! Gordon! I was so worried. Hey, the gravity gun. Give it to him, dog. There, Gordon. Dog's happy to see you. I can tell. Okay, dog. Go get the monitor set up so we can check in with my dad. He must be worried sick about us. He was so sure I wouldn't find you here. The Citadel's really coming apart. I still don't know how we got out of there. The last thing I remember is brain falling. Huge explosion, and then I heard Vortigaunts. Next thing I knew, Dog was digging me out of the rubble. Oh, it smells so strange. It's my dad. We've been trying to reach him for hours. Wait till he hears that we found you.
This area was redesigned several times in order to keep the player in this space while Alex delivers some exposition. As much as we hated to do it, the final solution was to have Alex climb out while the player looks for an alternate route. We portray Alex as more athletic and nimble than Gordon, so players shouldn't get too irritated by the fact that she can get to places they can't. Honestly, we're not especially happy with this crutch, but it's a trade-off we sometimes have to make so that we can get Alex out of the way of interesting player challenges.
Players love Dog, so we made sure that he was the first thing you see when you wake up in Episode 1. We also wanted players to get a glimpse of the crippled Citadel. When Dog lifts you out of the rubble, it's one of the few instances in the game when we take control of the player's view. This allowed us to ensure the player's view lingered briefly on the Citadel before Dog set them down.
Since we never take control away from the players, it can be a real pain to get them to notice important environmental events. It's a constant design challenge for us. The Citadel will be erupting, and in this case, to establish that the Citadel is coming apart at the seams, we wanted the player to notice the debris falling off of it. We used a pretty straightforward method here. Alex explicitly mentions the Citadel while pointing at it. Like most of these solutions, it's not foolproof, but it has a high success rate.
The Citadel is supposed to render it without our 3D skybox technology. This technology allows us to build the Citadel as a 1/16th scale model off in an unreachable corner of the map, and seamlessly merge it into the scene. We also
also use this technology to create the illusion of vast spaces and distant horizons.
Dad, are you there?
Question that it will, I'm afraid. Our remote sensors indicate the process is accelerating toward a dark energy and flare. Anyone left in the vicinity will be subjected to energetic events whose effects are beyond my powers of speculation. The ravages to cellular material are unimaginable.
Stop!
Dad?
Oh dear, Eli, I'm sorry, but surely there's no need for undue alarm. Alex is well out of harm's way by now.
Well, actually, we're still at the Citadel.
What? Oh dear, but there's really no time. The core is exceedingly close to collapse. Why, there's no way to get far enough without first... Well, nothing short of a direct intervention in the core could possibly start the reaction.
You mean going in?
Into the core, yes. But it's far too dangerous to consider. The chamber will be bathed in radiation.
Well, you do have the hazard suit. If we found a way into the Citadel, it's possible we could...
Alex, no!
But Dad!
Izzy, talk some sense into her!
Dad?
Okay, Alex, okay. Okay, just promise me.
Love you.
I love you too, baby. I'll be praying for you.
Don't worry. I'll see you soon. Don't worry.
Right off the bat, we needed to hammer home some story points, reintroduce the cast of characters, and explain the player's immediate goal. It was a pretty intimidating chunk of non-interactive exposition. We generally approach these scenes by writing way too much, and then through constant playtesting, trimming the scene to more manageable levels. But in this case, even after some heroic pruning, the opening scene still felt too long. We ended up splitting the introductory sequence into 3 scenes, separated by some gravity gun puzzle solving, and then a dramatic walk across a crumbling ledge.
When we designed the Half-Life 2 facial system back in 2000, our goal was to get a natural-looking performance at a moderate distance. For Episode 1, we wanted to extend the character's facial system to support more intense performances with a wider range of facial expressions that would hold up better at close range. These facial improvements included increasing the detail around the eyes and mouth, increasing the number of facial shape targets, think of these as movements of muscle groups, by about 50%, rewriting the rules that control how these shapes blend, and increasing the intensity of many of our existing shapes. In addition, we added support for controlling the amplitude of the facial movement for lip sync animation, which let us dampen or amplify the mouth shapes based on the volume or intensity of the dialogue.
Sometimes we need to keep the player in an area so that we can deliver some critical dialogue or run an important sequence of events. In these cases, we temporarily block the player's path using what we call a gate. These gates generally take the form of some obstacle that can only be removed or opened by some character or event. In this case, the obstacle is a crashed gun. A lot of care had to be taken to make sure that Dog hit his marks and played his sequences without trampling and damaging the player.
Monitor scenes are especially difficult to make interesting, since they tend to involve literally just talking heads. By interweaving critical expository information, like how dangerous the Citadel has become, with some dramatic character interactions between Alex, Eli, and Dr. Kleiner, we were able to convert a potential liability into one of the strongest scenes in the game. A great way to illustrate characters' relationships to each other is to have one of the characters in...
Alex travels through much of Episode 1 with the player, and consequently passes through a wider variety of lighting conditions than she did in Half-Life 2. This meant that we had to improve the quality of the lighting algorithms used on Alex to look realistic in any situation, from the eerie hallways of the Citadel to the streets of City 17 at sunset. For this episode, we added a specular lighting term to the shaders used on Alex, which provides a realistic... We chose to specifically emphasize bright highlights caused by illumination from grazing angles. This type of lighting, also referred to as rim lighting.
Right off the bat, we needed to hammer home some story points, reintroduce the cast of characters, and explain the player's immediate goal. It was a pretty intimidating chunk of non-interactive exposition. We generally approach these scenes by writing way too much, and then through constant playtesting.
Alex travels through much of Episode 1 with the player, and consequently passes through a wider variety of lighting conditions than she did in Half-Life 2. This meant that we had to improve the quality of the lighting algorithms used on Alex to look realistic in any situation, from the eerie hallways of the Citadel to the streets of City 17 at sunset. For this episode, we added a specular lighting term to the shaders used on Alex, which provides a realistic shiny look to her skin, her leather jacket, and even her teeth. In these new lighting calculations, we chose to specifically emphasize bright highlights caused by illumination and grazing angles. This type of lighting is further enhanced by our high dynamic range post-processing, which causes the specular highlights to bloom in a striking and dramatic fashion. Such as Alex's new lighting techniques, to the source engine with each new episode.
Right off the bat, we needed to hammer home some story points, reintroduce the cast of characters, and explain the player's immediate goal. It was a pretty intimidating chunk of non-interactive exposition. We generally approach these scenes by writing way too much, and then through constant playtesting, trimming the scene to more manageable levels. But in this case,
this ledge is a really tricky spot for NPCs to navigate. While we wanted Alex to be able to maneuver dynamically through any complex environment, in certain navigations she navigates the ledge with a combination of AI and scripted animations. We've continued to evolve the systems of Half-Life 2 whereby characters move fluidly through dynamic AI and scripted navigation, but ultimately what matters most is how it looks to the player.
Our games are created by design collectives that we call cabals. When the idea to have you and Alex sit in a van, it was funny, and then we moved on to more serious solutions with the gorge crossing. As the design progressed though, we kept coming back to the van idea, and eventually everyone agreed that we should give it a try. Even though the idea was kind of outrageous, it satisfied some key goals we had for the scene. Alex and the player get across the impassable gorge, and Dog is able to play a key role in the mission, while also plausibly getting left behind. There were still some problems to solve though. Attaching animated models to the van was tricky, and making sure the van didn't kill the player took some thought, and it took a number of tries before we were able to really illuminate Dog's thinking that solved some tricky game design issues, provided an intimate view of the relationship between Alex and Dog, and delivered a surprising and visceral entrance to the Citadel.
To be a way to get across. But how? What about... Dog? Dog, where are you? Dog, where are you? I think Dog needs a few bolts tightened.
It's really important to us to create scenes that showcase strong relationships between our characters. The relationship between Alex and Dog seems to be especially satisfying to players. In the scene leading up to the van toss, we had a bug right after she asked him, It's really important to us to create scenes that showcase strong relationships between our characters. The relationship between Alex and Dog seems to be especially satisfying to players. In the scene leading up to the van toss, we had a bug before the animation was complete, where Dog's head would shake as he looked back at Alex. In a happy accident, his head shook right after she asked him, "You did do the math, right?" In playtests, players thought this was intentional and always laughed.
Well, Gordon, unless you have a better suggestion, he is a robot. He's done the math. Did do the math.
I want you to get out of here as fast as you can. Go find Dad. All right. All right.
Great.
Brace yourself, Gordon. Okay, dog, let's do it. Before I change my... Okay. Careful, hold on. Whoa. Ow. Now go, boy, go on. You'll be fine, just... Uh-oh. What now? Whoa. Hold on. Oh. Oh. Alright, let's get off before the next ride starts.
She'd say things like, "Hurry up and keep moving." Whether or not this created a sense of urgency is debatable, motivations that eventually led us to switch Alex from generally leading the players to almost always following. Through playtesting, we discovered that players much preferred to set the pace themselves, and that they especially disliked virtually any hint of bossiness from Alex.
My god, this place is really coming apart.
We populate our environments with spots where players can take a break to look out over an expanse of cool scenery. We call these vistas. This particular vista was designed to give anyone familiar with the Citadel interior from Half-Life 2 a good view of what it looks like now that everything...
In an early version of this map, Alex led the player through the whole thing. To make Alex seem less omniscient, we had her access a console here to get her bearings. It exploded, which helped drive home the point that the Citadel was in bad shape, but generally, it was a long pause in the action without a lot of payoff. After we
Well, they shouldn't bother us if we leave them alone. I'll just distill this field. Damn, I can't get this down.
In a good puzzle, the player is